Hello. And today we'll be playing Shelter. We're going to be playing the newest update, which came out back on Friday. And this is going to cover content for Alon and his tragic backstory. His tragic Barkstory, as it's pronounced. No. Instead of tragic backstory, it's tragic Barkstory. So, looks like we're going to get a chance to know more about Alon and his past. So, this may be our last chance. Oh, he's cute. Just look at him. This pure white fur. Those big cheeks. Like two fluffy clouds. And a pure heart to match. The Jibble Doom Moon. At ease. There. I do not fault you for a bout of excitement. Everyone in the Crimson Royal Grove is united in this feeling. You will have not to be a canine to remain stored today. I can see you are warming up to your new life in the palace, Ruby. Yes. Yes, General. Ha, good boy. Hey, Gunner. Why are you waiting behind the door? Come closer. Meet your new master. He's so small. Adorable, is he? He'll grow up to be the most beautiful wolf in the whole history of our proud nation. And the strongest, the wisest, I just know it. He will become the right canvas of hope for our country. Until that day comes, it is our responsibility to protect his purity. Ours together, the small folk and the state alike. One day soon, he will rise as the ruler of us all. But until then, he shall be not unlike a son to every canine in the kingdom. I still clearly remember those moments from my life's earliest days. Everywhere, every face staring down at me. Servants and hardened warriors alike, all breaking into tears. Everything is fresh in my mind as if it happened yesterday. I love you. I forgive you. This time, I'll save us both. He lifted me in his hands, laughing through the tears of joy. I giggled with him when he pressed his nose against mine. Then so many hands brushed against my head, scratched behind my ears. Numerous wolves and dogs approached me just for a single touch. They said things. Called me cute, beautiful, adorable, compared me to clouds and flowers. And I shared in their joy. After all, I was just a newborn pup. I didn't know any better. I couldn't know that was only the taste of the unbearable nightmare that was going to be my childhood. So, as months turns into seasons, and seasons into years, wait, hold up. Ruby, Gunner, Doom Moon. Are you serious? Those are all So it's true. You are the lost king. That is simply unbelievable. Oh, shut up. That's not the important part. No, dude, that's pretty important. Honestly, I didn't think you were open with a revelation like that. That's the kind of juicy bit I expect you to tease us about through the story, through the whole story, and then reveal with a bang. Well, there aren't that many albino wolves in the Crimson Royal Grove, so now that I know of, actually it is an extremely rare trait, and very much associated with the true king's incarnations. Stop calling me king, you fat doofus. Yes, Barry, treat him like you always do. He is still the same Alon you know and love. Or hate. I'm not fat. I actually lost weight recently. I bet being called the K word must be a sore spot for you, Alon. After all, you chose a different life in the end for some reason. All of us come from kind of rocky beginnings. The start of your life seemed bright and joyful, but I'm sure it got worse over time, right? Indeed it did. As months turned into seasons and seasons into years, my childhood only continued to grow more and more miserable. Before you climbed on my back, young master, I couldn't bear to see your fur soiled in the mud. Stop it, you oaf. You have sap all over your armor. Please, Your Majesty, allow me. The big gray wolf general took his own shining clean cloak off and fastened by his chest like a cloud carrier before kneeling in front of me with a salute, back straight, head held up. Our whole group stood and waited for me to climb onto Gunner's makeshift palace, all the guards, leaders, scholars, and emissaries from the Saurian kingdoms. The whole procession halted just to ensure my beans wouldn't touch the mud puddle in the middle of the path. And yet I stood and stared at it curiously, with curiosity tugging at my childish mind. Still being the curious puppy I was, I asked an innocent question. Pray tell, General, might it be true that the hoi polloi find their amusement in wallowing in such mire and muck? I say, most intrigued I am about the peculiar charm of such distinctly plebeian diversions. I said to the heartfelt cooling of the people around me. Sorry for interrupting you again, but what the heck is hoi polloi? It is a kind of derogatory term referring to the common people. Wow, okay. How old were you? 60? 1 year and a half. Not even that. What? No. Yes, for whatever reason, I was born with the full compression of language, with the vocabulary of an educated adult. Comprehension. You meant comprehension, yet said compression. Oh, shut up, you nerd. Go your book, you. The point is, I could understand everyone from the very first day of my emergence. The only reason I couldn't speak right away was because I still had to wait for my vocal cords to develop. Once they did, I constantly amazed everyone around me with big words whenever I opened my mouth. Yeah, you have no bloody idea how painful it is for me to speak about those parts of my life out loud. Oh, it's okay. Don't feel bad. The important part is you eventually grew out of that, sort of. I know quite a few people who never did. There's no way you're not paraphrasing those events to some extent either way, though, right? What I mean is, it would be impossible for you to recount every single word, every detail. There must be an element of improvisation in your recollections. You underestimate my trauma, old fat one, the scars of my soul. I am not recounting those memories. I am like a living canvas, and each of those tragedies is caught upon me with those mental scars. I merely read their words out loud. They are as clear to me as if they were written in black ink or in blood. So of course I'm being accurate. Every syllable, the intonation, all that is exactly the same as the day they were spoken. But sure, for your sanity and mind, I could consider paraphrasing to match your dumber vocabulary. Much appreciated. So, say, General, is it true that the plebe rolls in mud and feces for fun? I've been wondering about that, I said to the heartfelt cooing of the people around me. It wasn't just the idea of their king acting like a common dog that amused them. It was mostly the fact that it was a tiny pup speaking. They found it both impressive and cute, so they drank my every word with reverence. I wagged my tail, happy with the attention, and while the canines admired me starstruck, it was one of the lizard guests who finally stood forward. Oh, my king, in my country the purity of a white scale is a good omen for all members of his clan. To show your precious white fur would be a true tragedy, not just against our fortune, but also against our very souls. Because, as you are, my king, you are undoubtedly the cutest puppy in the whole wide realm, and that is a miracle we simply have to beg you to let us protect. The wolves and dog servants all around me smiled and wagged their tails. At that, even the Komodo dragon clan's guests wiggled their tails in joy. Only General Gunner didn't wag his tail, as he was. Still, even he smiled and gave me a respectful nod. And I didn't object further. They beamed and cooed as they watched me climb into his red cape pouch, and I was as overjoyed as the people around me. Yes, that was my childhood. Surrounded by coddling service dogs, overprotective guardians who would literally die for me rather than let a single scratch fall on me. I slept in the softest dog beddings, ate the tastiest treats, chewed on the chewiest toys. I never knew hunger or solitude, as my mind was still that of a child. The greatest minds of our country and beyond tutored me from an early age in preparation for my role. And even those mentors were mindful of my mental well-being when choosing what to omit in their teachings, too careful even. I was still a pup after all, and their biggest priority was to protect and nurture my purity. Most of the time I was allowed to simply be a puppy. I had a designated playground within the castle, and I never ran out of guests to play with. I was such a happy child. Every night it was hard for them to put me to sleep. I was so excited for the next morning. Yes, it was truly that awful. Hardship was literally an alien concept to me, and fantasy, and worst of all. Why you all look at me like that? Think I'm exaggerating? Well, I'm not, if what I'm saying is true. Sure, I can believe that, but Alon, none of those things seem particularly bad. Yeah, I guess we're just wondering where the tragic part is going to start. What do you mean? It's right there. How can you not? I admit, sir, even knowing your circumstances, I must say that the way you tell your stories makes it sound like you were simply spoiled. Of course you wouldn't understand. Each and every one of you was blessed with relatively normal lives. Well, my fate was unique. It was, yes, fate. It seemed like my whole life was already paved before me, and I didn't even need to work particularly hard to walk it. At every step, I had the smarter and stronger dogs to help me grow into my oversized, gem-encrusted robes. I knew their love and care weren't a deception. They made me study canine empathy from an early age, and people's souls seemingly held no secrets from me. Yes, as years passed and my childhood slowly drew to a close, it felt like my understanding of others developed faster than the comprehension of my own self. Yet even that was a lie. In reality, I was the most ignorant canine in the whole country. The path towards the truth was painful alone, and its start would be delayed even further if it wasn't for him. Why are you pointing at Burry? You guys know each other? Well, not like, you may not remember, it was almost 2 decades ago. No, I do. Forgive me, it is still hard for me to believe it is truly you. We met only 2 short times. After rising in the Grove's underground scholastic ranks for several long years, it was decided that my presence would be elevated to a public representative. So I was awarded a ruby tag and a significant rise in my station for one of my greater breakthroughs at the time. I do not wish to go into details of that project. Lots of dead puppies. Not that I knew that detail at the time either. Yes, but as guilty as it still makes me feel, I shall never forget the day of the ceremony. It was like something out of a fairy tale, and I memorized every step of it. With all my colleagues present in the hall, you asked, "Who is a good boy?" When I tilted my head and stared at your red eyes, you said, "You are. Yes, you are." Patting my head 3 times. Then you granted me the tag of your own pink beans. It had my name on one side and yours on the other, along with the castle's address in. Oh my, forgive me. I cannot help but get emotional. Oh, for heck's sake. Next day. I meant our meeting the next day. Oh, right. Of course, yes. I was in my quarters after the ceremonies concluded. I was supposed to venture towards the corrupted borderlands for samples the next day, so I was lost in preparations for that. If my memory serves me well, there was some sort of complications in regards to the supplies we ordered for our expedition. They were stolen by thieves, yes, and I had to see to that. I was surprised to suddenly receive a note from the king himself. He requested my presence the next morning before my leave for the capital. Indeed, I did. When I arrived at the gardens, you were already there, waiting. You seemed nervous, pacing so impatiently with your backpack, almost as chunky as you were. The moment you saw me approaching, I felt the tension disappearing from your mind. Your ears turned red and your lips moved in a wordless, "He's so cute," before you shook your head and bowed. "He's so funny," I thought to myself, without saying it out loud, so round with those squinty eyes. Does he have so much fat on his face that he can't even open his eyes anymore? Can he even see anything at all? I wonder, but I would never say something so rude to his face. My humblest awoo, your majesty. Greetings, Tangaroot, at ease, boy. Thank you for coming to see me before you leave. Of course, I will not dare to disobey. Your word is law. I know. And it's not like I would want to disobey. I live to serve you. Yes. What I mean by that is, just to be absolutely clear and transparent, this is an incredible honor for me, and a dream come true, having to meet my master in private. It is, isn't it? May I just say, your majesty, you look absolutely stunning today. I mean, beautiful and elegant, so sounding pure. Golly, what an annoying tool. I thought to myself while starting to regret my decision. However, I still put on a reassuring smile. Most of the dogs and wolves I interacted with during my childhood were much more composed and calculating. You were mature for being 15 years old at the time, but still not a true adult. Even with 7 years of difference between us, I felt I had more in common with you than with most canines in the grove. You had to work for your tag, sure, but in a way we were both puppies of station. I felt I could talk with you about things I couldn't with my gray muscle mentors. I said at ease, Tangerwood. Or perhaps I should call you Burry. Would you like to be friends, Burry? Your mouth gaped open, and for the first time, you opened your eyes. You were so soft. In your excitement, I clearly recall you even peed yourself a little. Not much, just a few tiny drops, but I could both see it and smell it, even though I chose to stay quiet about that to avoid embarrassing you. Instead, I pointed at the marble bench and gave us both a sit command. You nodded and hurriedly flopped down on it, trying to cross your legs to hide the stain at your crotch. But apparently you forgot you still had your overpacked backpack on you, so you tipped over and fell backward like a log. You grunted and flailed your limbs helplessly like a clumsy cell-clad monster. Unable to get up, I was so surprised by your stupidity I literally blanked out for a moment. With you still flailing on the ground, Stop, just stop. Could you please skip all of that and just get to the point already? What do you mean? I mean, why are you focusing on all those insignificant details? How could they possibly be important? I almost managed to push that memory out of my mind. Excuse me, I thought you wanted to hear my story, and I'm merely recounting that important day as it was, the good and the bad. Do you want the full truth or not? I may start withholding information if that's your wish, but what if I skip something crucial by accident by doing that? Luke. Good. So, as I was saying, you were there, grunting and performing your interpretative dance on the lawn. While I struggled to even put my mind together, you were so pitiful. So I did what I always would in situations like this. Despite your desperate pleading not to call for anyone, I summoned the guards to assist you. Hearing the clunking of approaching armored dogs, you twisted and strained with double effort, almost getting enough purchase on the ground, but being just a little short of flipping. You pushed yourself as hard as you could. You pushed yourself as far as you could, and as your straining reached its peak, you broke wind loudly, tangibly even. Wow, that was, at that time in life, I was yet to learn what a rotting corpse smelled like, but once I eventually found out in the future, my instant thought was, oh my God, this smells exactly like that day I met Murray Tangerwood. It truly was that vile. That one experience rooted itself into my impressionable puppy mouth, and struggling, it became a scale I've forever measured anything disgusting to. You know, they say the embers or spells crafted out of a person's core experiences as a combination of key moments in one's life journey. I truly believe that one of the many reasons my dances with wolves is so powerful is because you engraved yourself upon my soul so deeply with that one unforgettable instance. You showed me the first glimpse at the bark cruelty of this world. My very first experience in carnal pain, never to be matched to this day. Your Majesty, what seems to be, oh my dog, what in the, you insolent mutt, such disrespect to the crown. It's no mere disrespect, it is an assassination attempt. And regicide, you shall be put in a bag and thrown into the river for that traitor. No, there will be no need for that. But, Your Majesty, Jake, don't say but to your master. Oh, yes, my apologies, but, Jake, down boys, there's no need to get angry. It was actually I have released the royal pumpernickel, not Burry. You, Your Majesty, no way, this terrible abhorrent. How delightful. my king, so powerful, so rich. I watched as Sniff took a deep sniff as if savoring the aroma. His stomach visibly convulsed, but he quickly swallowed back whatever acid flew past his throat. Jake only stared at his colleague uncomfortably and chose not to follow suit. My deepest gratitude for the bestowing such a gift upon us, your majesty. The roses around us cower in embarrassment, unable to even dream of matching the elegance of your fragrance. Oh wow, you're right. They're literally wilting. They're literally wilting. This helped Burry stand back on his feet and be on our way. And so they did. It was quite a Herculean task, but luckily they were both strong, muscular dogs, so they eventually managed to lift you only with a bit of a struggle. They helped you take your backpack off, saluted us, and then went away to continue patrolling the perimeter. It was just you and me again, sitting on the beach. You were so embarrassed you couldn't look me in the face. My apologies. Do not worry, Burry. It is all fine. One day we'll be laughing about it, you and I. You'll see. Let it be our secret. Nobody in the whole Crimson Royal Grove will ever learn about this from my lips. I promise you that, my friend. I smiled at you and waited patiently until you raised your head. You seemed reassured by that. The tension of the long few past minutes slowly dispersed as if carried away by the wind. Just like your father. I hate you. It's fine, you'll get over it. Just like I got over you throwing threats and insults at me at every opportunity for the past few months here in Shelter. After all, it's unhealthy to hold grudges, don't you think? You. So there we were, sitting together on a beautiful white marble bench, surrounded by roses. The commonness of the place washed over us. I felt you starting to feel more comfortable in your mind, too. I saw that clearly. Despite your renowned mastery of empathy, you kept your heart fully open for me. Your devotion was truly remarkable. And so was your patience. You waited for me to speak first. You're leaving for the corrupted borderlands today, yes? Correct. We would have left last evening, but someone stole our food rations. My assistants are in the process of restocking. They say the grove has a vermin problem, mice and rats and the sort. Apparently they somehow got beyond the city walls early this year. That is quite a concern to our security. Is that true? I did not know that. Well, my apologies. I might have added out of line by bringing up such things. Oh no, I do appreciate you telling me. They never really informed me about the affairs of the kingdom. Certainly, they did not wish to worry you needlessly, my king. Perhaps. Have you been there before, to the borderlands, I mean? Yes, I have, briefly. It is quite a distance from the grove, is it not? Yes, with our current team and equipment, we estimate it to take nearly 2 weeks to get to the ungulate section of it. What is it like out there? Is it yet another sort of topic my mentors seem uncomfortable discussing with me? Yes, if they withheld that from your majesty, I doubt I'm in a position to obey. Be at ease, Burry. You can call me by my name. Oh, I am uncertain about that either. How old were you when you studied those topics? Younger than me? Yes, oh yes, gosh. Then as your ruler, should I not be more informed on those important matters than my subjects? There must be a reason for such decisions for your upbringing, my master, to protect your purity. And it's not my place to question, I only follow. And before I was even first allowed to stand in front of you, I was specifically ordered not to disclose those specific difficult matters, neither the borderlands nor a few topics. And yet you disagree. At that comment, I felt you instantly putting your mental barriers back up. How cute, I thought. If I may be honest, my king, I want to be a loyal, good boy, but it is not always so clear to me who I should be loyal to. My elders, the science itself, On to you, who stands above all. I wonder, did you summon me here because you felt that dilemma in my mind when we met yesterday during the ceremony? Perhaps. Or perhaps I simply thought we could find a common tongue. I am closer in age to you than to any of them. Certainly you must know the pain. You must know the same pain of being disregarded by the elders as I suffer on a daily basis. Oh gosh, yes, that I do. My caretakers and protectors are kind, patient and caring, but I do not always feel like I'm being heard by them. To put it into perspective, last week I requested to be woken up by the sound of a harp in the morning, and yet today they added a 12 choir on top of that without seeking my opinion. They know how much I enjoy desserts, and they still insist I eat my 12-course meals in order. All the little portions of handcrafted gourmet compositions on those giant pails, on those giant plates. I cannot even awoo on my own, because I have a designated baritone opera servant who howls for me, so I wouldn't strain my throat, they say. I imagine those troubles must feel quite relatable to you too, as you are also a young canine living among the adults in the Crimson Royal Grove, just as I am. Yeah. Well, as they say, every dog must carry his own burden. Mine might not be as sophisticated as yours, my king. But yeah, yes indeed, certainly. So, share your knowledge with me as much as you can. About the corrupted borderlands, about the troubles in the city and outside. I want to know. You got quiet and lost in thought. You were a careful dog, but I felt I could get to you if I pushed you the right way. That was the main reason I summoned you, for all your knowledge and mastery at canine arts. I saw softness in you I thought I could take advantage of. Yet you surprised me. Is that your order? No, that is merely a request. Then thou shalt not speak of those matters out loud. You must understand, a single wrong word spoken can cost all of us dearly. That is exactly the thing, Bury, I do not understand. I know, you are kept pure for me to corrupt you with the wrong knowledge. I could not bear that. Out of all the dogs in the grove, I am the worst one to teach anyone. Yet at the same time, it is true that, after speaking to you briefly at the ceremony, I dearly hoped that today's audience would be related to something like that. You spoke of matters of curiosity even then, on our very brief interaction yesterday. You do not even know why you granted me this beautiful ruby tag yesterday, do you? I took it out for the depths of your chest fluff, attached to a third silver chain. You sat quietly while holding it with care. Yet it has your name etched on it as my master, even the address of your royal castle. Such an honor, like I truly belong here, like I have a purpose in this world, be useful to you. I only smile. When you feel the flow of hearts the way I do, you learn that a well-timed silence can pull at the strings stronger than the most persuasive word could. I'm not doing. I'm not going to speak out loud and of any matters that your mentors deem unnecessary, and I happen to know exactly what topics those are. I examined your curriculum and the list of approved books. I must say, an impressive collection and a fitting one for a perfect future ruler. Maybe not the most exciting selection of fables, very limited. And I know how important it is to feed a young mind with imagination and passion. You stared at the sky and smiled. It was clear and blue. For some reason, you grew quiet. Not a moon in sight. It was for not so long ago I was allowed to howl that night. I am glad, my king. I shall pray every day for your body to grow strong and sturdy, so you can howl every day and every night. After all, the moon is always close, even though you may not be able to see him. Do you mean it? Huh, yes. Yes, I did. My apologies. Pray forgive the interruption, your majesty. Sir Tangleroot's presence is requested by the western gate. The convoy is ready. Is it now? And it feels like we barely started talking. Huh. You may stay longer if you wish. So I convey that as your majesty's order. No, not an order. Merely. I sighed and shook my head. I felt frustrated by the sudden end to our talk. In the end, we only danced around the subject, and I wasn't able to learn anything from you. For a moment, I thought you would tell me something groundbreaking, but apparently it was my fate to be forever edged and blue-balled, a trend that will continue way into my adulthood. You are exceptionally mature for your age, your majesty, and not only in the way you speak. You have the heart of a good alpha. Thank you for your understanding. I'm on my way. Pray allow me the final word with the king. The guard left. He reached for your backpack. I grew quiet from sadness. It was a pleasure and privilege to speak with you, my king. I bade too brief. I would like you to speak to me again once you're back. Of course, although I cannot be certain when that will be. If my hopes for this expedition prove true, we may wish to establish a new research outpost in the borderlands. If that were the case, your majesty may end up growing a few inches taller by the time we return to the Crimson Royal Grove. I see. Yet pray not frown, my king. I brought a modest tribute as a thanks for granting me this audience. I hope it shall brighten your days, even just a little. My heart rose as I gasped in joy when you pulled out something out of your bag. Then all that excitement dispersed in an instant when you sold me a book about plants. Painstakingly thorough compendium of golden autumn flowers of the Crimson Royal Grove, the cover said. You didn't lie, it was extremely modest. You must have clearly felt my disappointment, and yet you chuckled. I was this close to throwing you into the dungeons. You started presenting me the book, but then you hesitated. You looked at it quietly, as if you weren't sure if you should give me that seemingly boring crap or not. How ironic. This very same tome has already ruined my life before, and now it may or may not spell my very end. It's fine, you can keep it. I'd already have that book. But no, it was not the book that ruined me, nor not its knowledge. It was the lapse of my conviction. I want to be a good boy. I want to follow orders, and I will. But I do not want to forget that all the sacrifices we are making are for the sake of people, not merely for pure curiosity's sake or for my ego. To be completely frank, I am not that much into flowers. How about you just keep the book in? But you practically shoved it at me. I awkwardly reached out for it, but you still wouldn't let it go. We both held it in our hands, your trembling, and I could feel both fear and excitement in your mind. It is so easy for people in power to justify sacrifices for the greater good. Yet nobody is too eager to sacrifice their own selves as lightly as they will others. Hypocrisy, justified with self-importance. I wish to be better. Finally, you let go of the book, leaving it in my grasp. You sighed and smiled, a hint of nostalgia glowing through your mind. I like the chapter about the snowdrops. It is one of my favorites. I think you may learn a lot from it. You bowed, wagged your tail 6 times, as was tradition, and grabbed the rest of your belongings. Pray take good care of this tome. It is, in a way, my family's heirloom. And then you left. We never met each other again after that, though I didn't know that would be the case when I handed the book to one of my servants and went on with my day. I felt a little tired from sitting in the garden, so I had a milk bath and pedicure in preparation for the endeavors of the rest of the day. I had to pose for my new high-scale royal portrait. Then a team of tailors and jewelers took their sweet time preparing new summer garments for me. If that wasn't enough, I also had to grant audience to a local hero. I saved her some small town 2 days of travel away. It didn't really feel like it, but granting blessings to heroes was kind of a big part of my administrative competence at the time. Gosh, there were so many of them, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the one I met that day. It wasn't even the squeal of adorableness he let out the moment he saw me. I found that kind of tension with less enthusiasm each passing year, true, but I still tolerated it. He was a cocky but charming kind of hero, a tall, muscular Rottweiler, a hardened country bumpkin with those vagrant vibes. Even though he was a member of an infamously dangerous clan, I didn't feel intimidated. I had always been surrounded by the dogs of war, after all. Not that he tried to be intimidating at all. Quite the opposite, he dressed up what he probably considered as smart in his unrefined mind and tried his best to be graceful around me. But you know Rottweilers, dressed as saggy, brute, and puffy doublets and party polanes, and the last thing they look is graceful. He smelled nice, at least, for a savage, a rotten Kobe beef food fragrance, probably sampled from the upper city's market. However, he clearly had no clue how to apply perfume properly. You aren't supposed to just blast it onto your fur. You take the bottle, facing the nozzle, and nozzle a bit upward, not too close, kind of like this, and well, you get the gist. Anyway, even with the guards around us, he acted pretty forward with me like a long-time buddy. There seemed to be no business with the crown in particular he wished to address. His interest lay specifically with me. On introduction, he even offered his paw without an order, either ignorant or defiant of the rudeness of such straightforwardness towards his ruler. He wouldn't stop staring at me with those weird, excited eyes, and he constantly attempted to get as close as my guards would let him. They shoved him away a couple of times, but he was neither deterred nor discouraged. Instead, switching to verbal affection, I'm pretty sure he broke the record for the number of praises thrown to my cuteness per minute. I had experienced something similar in the past, many times actually, though I had not paid those instances much mind. The praises of other men had usually been more subtle, coming from the members of the noble lupine clans, never from a savage dog. I still enjoyed the praises of the Rottweiler of the Rottweiler hero, like I always did, being a stupid, ignorant pup, yet I also started getting a little taken aback by his enthusiasm and loudness. I wished him to stop. "Sir, I'm 8 years old," I said with a closed-lipped smile, staring him in the eyes. Usually a deflection like that would calm a careful, noble wolf, but since it was an unrefined brute from a low-life clan I was dealing with, he totally failed to take a hint. Quite the opposite, I felt a cold shiver creep down my spine as he stared back into my eyes, and his praises only grew in passing. For some reason, he convinced himself to be my fated guardian. He loudly assured me of his timeless devotion, as unchanging as the night sky itself. He called me his white star, signing fated purpose upon his soul. The Rottweiler hero he simply knew he was the one for me too. He had no way to prove his convincing, but he in his heart was proof enough. He said, just like I was his star. He was undoubtedly the still unawakened moon I was waiting for. He was sure of that. Before I could even wrap my head around those weird outbursts, my guards dragged the shouting small fry hero away by force. That was one of those afternoons I wish I could forget, but since I had no such power, I decided to take another milk bath and get my beans massaged to wash away the discomfort of that encounter. Yeah, as I grew older and understood a little more, the ways they revered me still felt good to me, but I got that creeping feeling that there was something I was missing. Well, there were a whole bunch of things I didn't understand, but I started noticing some specific off elements through the conversations with the different people. The mentions of the moon and the stars weren't anything new. I was, after all, inflated with the unprecedented cuteness of white variety, and those were simply some of the many beautiful, bright things to compare me to. And yet I couldn't help but notice something very special whenever people mentioned the moon, something that went past just a simple praise. No, I felt how each mention of that word made people's minds wander. Even you mentioned the moon doing that talk in the garden, Burry, right before you gave me your utterly disappointing gift. Now it is clear to me you did that on purpose, you cheeky rascal. As I sat in my soft bed, ready to sleep right after dismissing my last caretaker, I stared at the bookshelf. The spine of your book was there. Painstakingly thorough compendium of golden autumn flowers of the Crimson Royal Grove, it said. You told me to read up the chapter of the snowdrops, but I really didn't feel like doing that. I could totally see studying as a perfect choice of leisure activity for you, but like you, I was a healthy child. You can't just suggest something like that to a pup and expect anything but total disinterest. I felt sleepy just from thinking about touching that supposed gift, and so I did fall asleep. I was drifting away, the world of dreams overtaking me. Even then, the stupid flowers haunted me. They were white, just like me. In my dreams, however, the green parts weren't green like they should have been in nature. They were pink. They pierced through the snow at my feet, all those white and pink little blossoms blooming under the night sky, the full moon towering over us. Yet to my confusion, the contours of the moon were carved into the visage of the wilder hero from earlier. He lit the stars around him like a frosting from the cake, and the snowdrop flowers howled us a wedding chorus, each of them growing a little snoot to our woo. Once the sky was clean of stars, the white wilder moon looked at us with hunger growing in those maniac eyes. It grinned as it grew closer, and I ran over the snow, trying to escape, but of course I couldn't outrun the moon. It started licking the snow all around me, the white and pink snowdrops letting out unnervingly their lighted moans, leaving only the small chunk of land around me. So I stood there, knee-deep in the snow, and a small piece of soil floating in space with the huffing Rottweiler moon hovering over me, licking its crater-covered lips. I had nowhere left to run. It drew right to my face, lit me all over with the moon dust tongue, and then as a dominant yet protective growl rumbled through its core, it moaned those words, salivating moon dust. Snowdrops are not autumn flowers. My star. I woke up with a scream. A small platoon of guards and caretakers instantly rushed into my chamber, securing both my physical and emotional safety. It took me a few moments to compose myself, the crowd of people only making it harder for me. I wanted to be left alone, yet they were all over me. They insisted to know exactly what my dream was about. Sir Healer was particularly annoying with that, since my perfect memory extended to the subconsciousness as well. One of his many duties was to keep a written record of my dreams. Come to think of it, that must have been how he developed his horrendous style in prose, huh? Go figure, dreams are exciting when you experience them, sure, but so painfully boring to listen to. I was too embarrassed to tell them the full truth, so I made something up, one of those common puppy nightmares or anything just to make them leave. Sorry for interrupting, but I have to know now. What do you consider as a common puppy nightmare? You know, like being laughed at by the crowds for wearing sapphire encrusted robes because your chief tailor didn't get the memo about black opals being trending that season. Stuff like that. Or, of course, much worse, much worse than nightmares of being laughed at for being naked. Don't make fun of me. I'm not as ignorant anymore. But yes, they actually happened to be in fashion that year, so the people in my room promised a brand new robe by the end of the week just to make me feel better. Sir Healer offered to stay to watch me asleep, but I asked everyone to just leave me be. The only request I had was for them to let me keep one lit candle, nothing more. So they did exactly that. One after another, each of the guards and caretakers bowed and walked out of the room, finally letting me rest and acquired once again. I stared at the light of the candle, then at the bookshelf. Painstakingly thorough compendium of golden autumn flowers of the Crimson Royal Grove. Snowdrops, huh? I got up from the bed, grabbed a stool, and took the big tome off the high shelf. I tripped and fell in the process, but with all of my willpower, I kept my throat and mind silent not to alarm the guards. I sat down on my bed, the light of the candle illuminating the cover of the boy encyclopedia, and even though I knew what to expect, my hands still trembled in anticipation. The chapter about snowdrops, was there really a mention of them anywhere in that book? Why did that fat boy mention those flowers in particular? With shaking fingers, I grabbed it at the corner of the cover, flipped it over, and seeing the first page of the book, I gasped so loudly that one of the guards asked through the door if I was okay. It took me some panic reassurances before they reluctantly left me alone once again. Luckily, nobody entered my room. I knew that despite my heart pounding with more excitement than I've ever felt in my relatively short life, I had to stay quiet. I finally understood why the St. Bernard was acting so weird and secretive about it. That book was, in fact, not a part of my curriculum. It wasn't a tome about plants either. The cover was one thing, but the very first page showed something I would have never expected, a rather illustration painted in golden yellow, red, black, and green ink. A group of adventurers sitting by the campfire, listening to a song of their boyfriend, a German shepherd playing a lute with a wide smile. I looked at that illustration absolutely transfixed. Even the colors, weathered with age, the characters felt so real to me. I could feel the warmth of the campfire. I could hear the laughter in the song. Suddenly, a teardrop fell onto the page before I realized, so I tried to wipe it off in panic, but I only smudged the ink on the huge, elaborate, titled letters underneath. The title of the book. It read, The Peregrination of New Moon by B.B. Huter. Huh? Wait, I know that one. Oh, my dog. That's the book you and your brother stole from the library to read in secret when you were little pups, right? Not just a copy. That was the exact same book. That was the only one I took from my monastery when it was the time to leave for my assignments in the Crimson World Grove. I ruined the cover so I could smuggle it for the king, but everything inside it was the real deal. All the fables inside New Moon. Indeed, Noon the German Shepherd, the valorous bard, the second moon. His merry band of racially diverse, equitable, and inclusive companions. It was nothing like what I had ever read until that point in my life. My caretakers were always very careful about what to give me to read. Even though I possessed the vocabulary of an adult, they still read me children's stories about talking flowers and sweet innocent puppies and all that crap. With the stories of New Moon, holy crap, that was real shit. My big red eyes were glued to the pages as I learned about the monsters, the corrupted borderlands, the cultures of the 5 other species, the magic, the treasured artifacts, the terrible town mimics, the great and small battles that not always ended with happy resolutions. It felt like I already knew all those things. After all, I knew the words and phrases. And yet those were all just like empty little vessels with no connection to anything of substance until the stories of that book filled them with knowledge. I love those characters. Each of them was a truly impressive hero, not like whatever passes as one today. New wasn't the strongest, but he was the knot that tied the party together, often literally. Comes with being a bard, I suppose. Even though he had his flaws, people gravitated towards him, either to his deep red slong or to his pure sap heart. I admired him for those 2 qualities. They all had rocky beginnings. Sometimes he made friends with people who initially wanted to kill him. Yet for different reasons they all changed and they stuck around for good. And sooner or later he stuck it good inside them too. Oh my God, please stop making it sound like a porn book, I beg of you. There was no mix of slongs or them stuffing each other. It was rich in very tasteful and poetic metaphors to paint the romance, yes, but nothing explicit. Well, okay, I admit, all those metaphors were indeed kind of subtle and went way over my still innocent head. But come on, we're adults now. We don't need to pretend they didn't fuck. Yes, but that was not what I wanted you to read those stories for. I know, I didn't read them for that either. I read them for the thrill of adventure, the excitement of discovery of the unknown, and the triumph of friendship over overwhelming adversities. I bonded with those heroes. I feel like I became their comrade, and I swear I could even feel their imaginary emotions through my canine empathy. They fought all those awful monsters and those cruel villains, and they brought people together, liberated them, gave them hope. There was so much going on with each tale. Every time I went through one, I thought that was the absolute peak of storytelling, and nothing would be able to match that excitement again. And then the next story turned out to be even better. I was so engrossed in it all, I got caught by surprise when the flame of the candle flickered and died, reaching the end of the wick. For the next few nights, I would always ask my caretakers to leave me a lit candle under the pretense of having a better time falling asleep with it. Seeing how much secrecy the Tangaroot put into passing me that tome, I never told anyone about it. It was my greatest secret, and it was so exciting. Oh my, yes, I know. I know how that must have felt. Simply remembering those nights when my brothers and I read the same stories in secrecy in our own childhood. It makes my heart swell with such sweet nostalgia. Wonderful to hear it impacted you so deeply as well. I've never read that book. Now I'm really curious. Sounds fun. Or it is. You should experience it when you have a chance. I wouldn't mind revisiting it. What a nice thought, indeed. You don't have your own copy anymore, do you, Barry? Maybe we can get you one somewhere. Unfortunately, I have not seen one for sale anywhere, at least not in Mosburg. I would probably buy one if I had a chance, but I could ask the Aston Tales to bring us a copy next time they come here. If they happen to stumble on one down south or abroad, maybe. Huh. It is fine, Max. Pay no mind to my rambling. I'm not a child anymore. Besides, we have the real moon here. Yeah. But it's important to you. I would like you to have it in your collection. I'll ask around. No, it is fine, honestly. Maybe that would even feel wrong. Even if I get another copy, it would not be the same book. There were so many fantastic tomes in my monastery's library, many of them objectively written even better than New Moon's fables. But I took that one to travel with me because it was special to my family. The stories were one thing, but that book itself was no less than a magic artifact to me. It brought us together for those unforgettable nights in our formative years. But time passes, childhoods end, old treasures get lost or left behind. But as long as we do not give up on living, we always inevitably find new things to cherish. Just like the flash of my brothers is no more, I still keep their hearts anchored to mine. And though the book itself may be lost somewhere in the royal castle, both its words and the memories shall remain etched to me, in the same place as my brothers are. So many things in life hold value precisely because they never last. Life itself is like that too. And that is fine with me. Hey, what are you doing with that bottle, Alon? Yeah, that's disgusting. Who the hell brewed it? Oh, come on, give it back. Max gave it to me as a gift. Whatever, here, take that disgusting thing back. I just want a chug. You should have at least pretended you listened to Burry. Alon, even with Roland's mana, I'm not sure you can access the holding seal inside shelter. Actually, on that damaged part of the wall, you could possibly. You're mine. The fur claws on the wolf's hands still sound with magic when he pulls his hand out of the crack in the wall. The item in his grasp still solidifies in its form when he puts it on the dry edge of the bath. He pushes it across the smooth towels with just enough force that it slows down and stops an inch away from Burry's shoulder. It is a book with a pressed and embellished leather cover, silver clasp at the corner, nothing like the boring cover Alon described in his story. I swim towards Burry to look over his shoulder as he carefully unlatches the lock on the cover and opens the tome. He yelps and covers his mouth, staring at it with wide-open eyes. The first page of the book shows an illustration of the campfire scene just like Alon described. There's a small smudge over the letters just like he described. Burry flips one page after another, touching all the familiar crumbles and tears. He sniffs it, still in disbelief. This is... You kept it. You kept my book. You even replaced the cover. Oh my. Yeah, whatever. Take it back. I don't want it. Thank you, King. Call me that again and I'll hacking ruin you. I swear to dog. Stupid. And what are you grinning for? Stop it. Oh, nothing. Don't smile so sincerely. I didn't do that to make him happy or anything. I just hated the thought of being indebted to him. That's all. I did it for myself. It was a matter of my pride. I don't even like that book anymore. Hey, is it just me or did the water suddenly get colder? Okay, so right here. Alright, so we learned that Alon is actually the king of the Canine Kingdom. So that's a huge revelation there, and he believed that him being taken care of in servants and waitresses taking care of his every need, he considered that to be tragic. And Burry and Max were confused because usually that would be great. I mean, everybody would want to have people care to them because, for everybody else, life is rough. But for some reason, Alon said that was tragic. But I guess he meant that he wanted more control over his life, and everything was planned out for him. Everything's planned out for him, and there's people doing everything for him, and maybe he just wanted to do things for himself and for everything to be done for him that was considered tragic. I don't know. That's just my guess. So, apparently, an albino wolf is kind of treasured in the canine kingdom, like a rare wolf trait. So, they hid a lot of information from him as a child, and that book Burry gave him really excited Alon because he got to know more about what life is like outside of the castle and what it's like for people who are not like him. People struggling, people bonding and coming together to fight monsters. And I mean, to Alon, it was for people, or the characters in the book, or the people who live that kind of life. For Alon, that was exciting. It was very exciting, and it caught his attention, and it differs from his royal treatment. Everything's done for him, and he doesn't have to struggle. He doesn't have to try. So yeah, so we'll continue with more of Alon's tragic Barkstory. But so far, that's the biggest thing we learned about Alon so far, that he's the actual king of the Canine Kingdom, and he painted himself black or dyed his fur black so nobody knows who he really was or who he really is, actually. So I don't know if I'll know more about why he decided to leave in this update or in the next update. But if you want to watch the next update, it's on Patreon, and you can go there and purchase a new update. I think it's $5. Alright, so that's all for now. We'll continue with the rest of the update next time. Thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.